Ethan Cross had always believed he had built a safe, perfect life. Wealth, influence, and success, they were his shields against the world's cruelty. He had clawed his way from nothing, sleeping in cramped apartments and working nights while others rested, enduring rejection and failure, all for the promise of a life he could call his own. But more than the money, more than the accolades, Ethan's greatest treasure was Isabel. She had loved him when he had nothing, believed in him when even he doubted himself, and had stood by him as they navigated a world that often judged them both. She was the anchor that kept him grounded, the heart that gave meaning to every sleepless night and every sacrifice. And now, months into their life in a beautiful new home, she carried their first child. Their dream, their family, their sanctuary, their future, should have been untouchable. That illusion shattered the moment he stepped through the front door. Isabel was on the floor, bruised, trembling, clutching her stomach as if protecting their unborn child from the world itself. Her face streaked with tears, her voice barely audible, whispered, "Ethan, why would someone do this to me?" Time seemed to stop as the air thickened with shock and terror. Ethan's heart pounded, every protective instinct igniting into a blazing inferno. Rage, helplessness, and despair collided. Who could have done this? And why? The home they had poured their hopes and dreams into, once a place of safety and laughter, suddenly felt like a fragile bubble, ready to shatter under the weight of hate. Ethan remembered the nights before Isabel had entered his life, when he had worked tirelessly, often alone, dreaming of a future where he could provide safety, comfort, and love. Meeting her had been a revelation, a spark in the darkest of times. They had fought through judgment and hardship together, their love forged in struggle. Isabel had believed in him when others scoffed, had encouraged him to keep going when opportunities seemed impossible. Their love had grown from shared adversity, sacrifices, and unwavering trust. She had been his partner in every sense, his confidant, and the mother of his future child. The thought that someone could violate that hate could intrude into their sanctuary, filled him with a cold, searing fury. Their new home, purchased just months ago, had been meant to symbolize their triumph, a blank canvas for their life together. Sunlight poured through large windows, illuminating rooms decorated with hope and laughter. Isabel had spent hours preparing the nursery, dreaming of a future filled with joy and family. They had envisioned evenings of quiet conversations, mornings of soft sunlight and coffee, and the laughter of a child filling the halls. Every corner reflected their dreams, every wall whispered of security. But now, those walls seemed to tremble under the threat of hatred. The early signs had been subtle, almost imperceptible. The neighbor who smiled politely, yet avoided her gaze. Casual remarks at weekend gatherings tinged with disapproval. Glances that lingered too long, judgment wrapped in civility. Ethan had tried to dismiss them, telling himself it was discomfort, not malice. But even the smallest cracks in their sanctuary hinted at a storm gathering just out of sight, a storm that would soon strike with violence. Then came the night that changed everything. Minor acts of intimidation, letters with threatening undertones, scratches along the car, subtle damage to the property, had escalated into something much darker. Ethan returned home early, expecting a quiet evening with Isabel. Instead, he found her slumped on the floor, bruised and trembling. Her body shook, and her hands clutched her stomach protectively. Through sobs, she explained that their neighbor, the same man whose stares had often unsettled her, had confronted her in the driveway, struck her, and whispered hateful words about her race. The world seemed to collapse around Ethan. He could feel every second stretching, every heartbeat amplified by fear and rage. Without hesitation, Ethan lifted Isabel into his arms, her fragile form trembling against his chest, and drove toward the hospital. The night air was heavy, filled with sounds that seemed amplified, the rustling of leaves, distant dogs barking, tires crunching against the road. Every passing car felt like a potential threat, every shadow a lurking danger. Isabel whispered words of comfort, but fear was etched across her face, and Ethan felt it searing into him. Each bump in the road, each honking horn, each fleeting shadow magnified the sense of urgency, the need to reach safety before the night's terror could follow them further. At the hospital, doctors rushed to assess Isabel. Her injuries were serious but not life-threatening. Bruises marked her arms and face, but the baby was unharmed. Relief washed over Ethan, mingled with anger and helplessness. He stayed by her side the entire time, holding her hand, whispering, "You're safe now. I'm here. I won't let anyone hurt you." The reality struck harder than any boardroom defeat or business setback. Wealth and status meant nothing when hatred chose to manifest violently. Once Isabel was stabilized, Ethan called the police. Officers arrived promptly, taking statements, documenting injuries, and reviewing surveillance footage. Every detail mattered. "No one has the right to terrorize another person because of the color of their skin," Ethan told them, his voice trembling yet fierce, a mix of protective fury and moral clarity. Surveillance footage, witness statements, and medical reports painted a damning portrait of the neighbor's prejudice and violence. For Ethan, it became clear that this was not just about protecting his family, it was about confronting the injustice head-on. The confrontation came after all evidence was gathered. Ethan approached the neighbor, flanked by police, his heart racing yet tempered with resolve. The neighbor sneered, attempting to downplay the assault. But Ethan presented photos of Isabel's injuries, surveillance footage, and witness testimonies. The man faltered under the weight of truth, arrogance crumbling as reality hit him. The police arrested him, and the case moved swiftly to court. In the courtroom, the tension was palpable. Isabel testified, her voice steady despite the trauma, her eyes locked on the man who had attacked her. "I deserve to feel safe in my own home," she said, every word resonating with dignity and strength. Ethan stood beside her, pride and relief mingling with the lingering adrenaline of fear and rage. The judge delivered a firm sentence: jail time for assault and harassment, a clear message that hatred and violence would not go unpunished. Returning home, Ethan held Isabel close. "Love is our armor, courage is our shield. Nothing will ever take that from us," he whispered. The bruises faded, but the emotional scars lingered, reminders of the fragility of safety and the persistence of prejudice. Together they worked to restore their sense of security, reinforcing their home and rebuilding their peace. But the experience also reinforced a broader truth. Racism can manifest subtly in whispers and glances, or violently as they had endured. Silence enables it. Courage confronts it. Their story became a testament to resilience and the power of love and action. Ethan reflected. We may not be able to change the hearts of the hateful, but we can protect, fight, and speak for what is right. Isabel, stronger than ever, embodied the resilience needed to endure and confront a world that still harbors prejudice. Their bond, tested under fire, had emerged unbreakable, strengthened by shared trauma and unwavering devotion. Together, they looked to the future. The child Isabel carried symbolized hope, resilience, and the triumph of love over hatred. Though peace had returned to their home, the lesson remained. Injustice exists in every corner of the world, sometimes hidden, sometimes overt, always threatening. The question lingers for everyone. When faced with hatred, will you rise to confront it or turn away, leaving others to suffer alone? Ethan and Isabel chose courage, love, and action, and their story stands as a reminder that these choices define us all.